Okay, so in this video we're going to look at some more detailed examples of z values. So there's kind of 4 criteria for it. If we're asked for the probability that z is less than k, we can go straight to our log tables. If z is greater than k, it'll be 1 minus the probability that z is less than k, because we've no way of figuring out the area to the right of a certain point. Part 3 then we don't, and part 4 we don't deal with negative values. So what we do is we flip the sign, which results in a flipped inequality. And then in parts 3 and 4, you'll see there that determines what your next step is, if we can go straight to log tables, or if it'll be 1 minus the probability that z is less than k, whatever value k is given to us in the question. Okay, so we'll look at our first one here. And we were told the probability that z is less than 0.76. So we can go straight to our log tables. So what's happening here is we have, say, 0.76, and they want the area to the left. So log tables, we want 0.76 gives me 0.7764. Okay, and that's part 1 answered. Part 2 now. We have the probability that z is greater than 1.23. So what we do is we find 1 minus the probability that z is less than 1.23. So what's happening here is, just to show you with a sketch, is we've been asked to find the area to the right of a certain point. So we'll say that's 1.23. We've been asked to find this area, but we don't actually have a process for that. So what we do is it's 1 minus. And what we know is we can find, the reason 1 is the total area under this curve for normal distribution is equal to 1. So what we do is we subtract. We figure out the area to the left of that point and subtract it from 1. And then what that does is it gives us the leftover to the right hand side of the point. So there's 1.23. So when we figure out the area to the left of it and subtract it from 1, we're left over with the balance here, which is what they looked for. So we've 1 minus the probability that z is less than 1.23. So that's 1 minus, I'm going to go to our log tables. So it's 1.23 gives me 0.98907 into our calculator. 1 minus 0.8907 gives me 0.1093. So my answer there is 0.1093, or 10.93%. Okay, part 3 now, we'll deal with our first negative example. So we have the probability that z is less than minus 1.16. We don't deal with negative values. So what happens is it's the probability then that z is going to change my sign. So it becomes plus 1.16. And by changing my sign, I need to change my inequality, greater than 1.16. But we know from our previous example, we don't figure out the area to the right hand side. So it's 1 minus the probability that z is less than 1.16. Okay, so into our log tables. We're looking for 1.16. So that's 1 minus 0.8770. Into your calculators. We get 0.123 or 12.3%. Okay, and part 4 then. We have probability that Z is greater than minus 2.37. So what happens here is we need to change our sign, and that forces us to change the inequality. Okay, so we go straight to our log tables. 2.37. We have 2.37. Okay, so there's one example for each case, and just always these 4 rules, memorize them off. While we have the log tables to help us figure out the probability of the Z value occurring, we don't have the steps for the process, so make sure you learn that off.